right, we're here, boys. What's going on? It's Keg with another UFC Run Pure Bets video. This week it is UFC 262, live tomorrow night from Houston, Texas. I know I normally deep dive on the main event, and that's it. But for the pay-per-view cards, I'm trying to at least touch on every fight on the main card. So I'm going to try to do that. So let's go. Let me pull up the odds real quick. Main event. Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler. Now, this is a fight that really shouldn't be happening, if we're being completely honest. But Dustin Poirier takes the money grab. He's going to fight Conor McGregor a third time. And here we are. Now, should Michael Chandler be in this title fight? Probably not. Yes. Was he a great champion at Bellator? He was. However, should possibly Justin Gaethje be in this spot if Dustin Poirier can't? I think so. We know Charles Oliveira deserves the title shot, okay? He probably should have gotten the shot 2 fights ago, maybe. So, yeah, Oliveira should be here. But you can make an argument that either if Dustin Poirier doesn't take the money grab against Conor, he should be here. Possibly even Justin Gaethje should be here. But here we are with Michael Chandler. A lot of people have asked me, does Michael Chandler deserve the title shot? I guess my response to that would be yes. If you have followed Michael Chandler in MMA over the last 12 years, and you look at his complete body of work, does he deserve to be here? I think he does. Yeah, I think he does. I understand he's only had one UFC fight against Dan Hooker, knocked him out in 2 minutes. But do I think that he deserves to be here? I do. So we'll start there. All right. I have said for the last 3 years that the best and most well-rounded lightweight on the UFC roster today that was not named Khabib Nurmagomedov is Charles Oliveira. I love absolutely everything about Charles Oliveira. We have backed him up a bunch of times, pretty much all throughout this 8-fight win streak that he's on. And if we're going to talk about his accolades, we'll be here forever. Most submission wins in UFC history, tied for the most finishes in UFC history. So, you know, the problem is, like, if the average person that's a casual UFC fan, if you ask them, do you know who Charles Oliveira is? There's a chance that they would actually say no. And that's sad, in my opinion. But here we are. I think I am really excited for him. So he's elite everywhere. He's probably got the best MMA jiu-jitsu game in the UFC right now. I think that he is an excellent striker. We know that his cardio has been phenomenal, but it's worth noting he has never been in a full 5-round fight before. Why? Because he finishes most of his opponents, or he gets finished. So he has never gone a full 5 rounds. But tomorrow night he will be possibly going 5 rounds. So I think that he should be fine. But at the very least, it's an unknown. And I talked about this last night on Twitter. The narrative all week is that Oliveira has, quote unquote, quit in him. But he hasn't quit in a fight in a really long time, like 5 or 6 years ago. So I can only judge Charles Oliveira on the fighter that he is now, not the fighter that he was 5 years ago. So do I think that the quit will be an issue? I really don't. I think that, he's been in the cage long enough to know what the deal is. So Michael Chandler, his opponent, he has only had one UFC fight. We know that. He drops Dan Hooker in about 2.5 minutes, but because of his reputation at Bellator, the UFC has decided to give him a title shot. Do I think that he should get the shot? I do. He's a phenomenal striker. We already know that. He's got a ton of power in his hands. His hands are lightning fast. And again, I said this on a previous show. He closes distance in the pocket pretty much as fast as anybody that I've ever seen at 155 pounds. The only person that I can even equate him to is Conor McGregor. And I think that he pretty much closes the distance as well as Conor does. And that's really hard to do. On the ground, Chandler isn't a big BJJ threat, but he was an All-American at Missouri. We know that his wrestling base is crazy. We know his top control is crazy. So going into the tape study for the fight, I was Team Charles Oliveira. Why do I say that? Because, like I said, I was ringing the bell for this guy for 3 years, saying I thought he was the best fighter at 155 pounds that wasn't Khabib Nurmagomedov. But while I was saying that, Michael Chandler wasn't in the UFC. So here we are. Going into the tape study, I thought that Charles Oliveira, clear edge. When I came out the other side, I thought that the fight was a lot closer to a 50-50 split. Now, I'm going to stick with my guy, Charles Oliveira, but I do think that Michael Chandler, if we're being honest, is really, really live. Why do I say that? Number one, Oliveira has only submitted one person off his back in 10 years. Okay. So if Michael Chandler gets on top of him, is there any guarantee that Oliveira is going to be able to get a submission off his back? No. There. Number two, I'm concerned about the distance that Michael Chandler closes from being out at range to inside the pocket. He is so lightning quick that I think the possibility exists where he could catch Oliveira and hurt him. But number one, I think people severely underrate Charles Oliveira's striking game. I think it is elite. And I see a lot of people sleeping on a striking game. Number two, I think if Michael Chandler decides to come in for a takedown, he is really vulnerable on entry. whether it's a Charles Oliveira knee, whether it's an uppercut. I think that also I think Oliveira can grab a guillotine on entry. So I think Michael Chandler is leaving himself open should he go for a takedown. And the second thing is there's nobody right now currently in the UFC that is as dangerous in a scramble as Oliveira is to get a submission. So I think that there are multiple ways Chandler can win the fight. I think there are multiple ways that Oliveira can win the fight. But in the end, I gave out Oliveira at a better number than the current line, but I'm still going to stick with Chucky Olives. Right now, the current line on him is minus 134. I guess, if you have to pay that, I don't mind. But what I will say is I think that the safest parlay piece on the entire card is taking either the under 3.5 rounds in the main event or the under 4.5 rounds in the main event. I think either way, you're safe. I think somebody's going to finish the fight inside of 3 rounds. I hope it's Oliveira. Could be Chandler. But yeah, either way, I think as a safe parlay piece, you're in good shape if you're taking under 3.5 or under 4.5 rounds. So that's what we got in the main event. All right, moving on. Tony Ferguson, Beneil Dariush, go main event. We all know Tony Ferguson's a legend. He's going to go down as a top 5 lightweight of all time, but we have to at least bring up the fact that he has taken a ridiculous amount of damage in his career. Now, has he won most of the fights that he's taken a ton of damage in? Yes, he has. But at the very least, you have to at least realize that whether he's won or he's lost, he's taken a ridiculous amount of damage in his career. Now he's 37 years old. So the question that you got to ask yourself is, how much has Tony Ferguson declined in the last 2 years? Now, we know that he lost his last fight against Charles Oliveira, and we know that he lost the fight before that against Justin Gaethje, right? But if you look at the 2 fighters that Tony beat before those back-to-back losses, number 1 is Anthony Pettis, who is currently fighting for the Pro Fight League. Number 2, Donald Cerrone, who just got knocked out in the first round last weekend against Alex Morono. Now, is Donald Cerrone a legend in his heyday? Yes, he is. Was Donald Cerrone a legend when he fought Tony Ferguson? No, he wasn't. And we have to, at the very least, be honest about that. So we know that, when Ferguson was in his prime, his striking was elite. His ground game from 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu was elite, right? Can we say that in 2021 that his striking is elite and that his BJJ is elite? I don't think that we can. At least not in my eyes. So his opponent, Beneil Dariush, he's been on a good run, man. 6 wins in a row. About the last 3 years of his life, he has looked great. And he's had multiple finishes in those 6 fights. And now, Beneil Dariush, very much a jack of all trades, master of nothing, but he's very good in every form of MMA, right? Now, has he fought the level of competition that Tony Ferguson has in his last 6 fights? No. If we're being honest, no, he hasn't. But Beneil Dariush's last 6 wins in the cage are better than the last 2 people that Tony Ferguson beat. And, I still think personally that Tony Ferguson is an incredibly tough guy to finish, but I have to go with Beneil Dariush stylistically. I think Beneil Dariush, should he get in trouble on the feet, do I think he will get in trouble on the feet? I don't think so. But should he get in trouble on the feet, I think he'll just take fight to the ground. And I don't think that in 2021, Tony Ferguson could stop Beneil Dariush from taking him to the ground. So I think that Dariush will take this fight wherever he wants to take it. Okay. But like I just said, I still think that Tony Ferguson is an incredibly tough guy. And I don't really see him being finished by Beneil Dariush. I think he's going to lose, but I don't think he's going to get finished. So rather than laying the current price of minus 180 on Beneil Dariush, I side with Dariush by decision at plus 150. I think all things considered, when you look at all the factors in this fight, I think it's pretty easy to get to a Beneil Dariush decision. So at plus 150, I like it. I bet it personally. So that's my look in the co-main event. Beneil Dariush by decision plus 150. All right, what do we got next? I think Caitlin Chukagian against Viviane Araujo. Solid fight at 125 pounds. Caitlin Chukagian, she's been ranked in the top 5 of the flyweight division for what seems like a pretty long time now. She's got solid footwork. She throws a ton of volume. She's got solid top control wrestling when the fight ends up on the mat. But her weaknesses are, number one, she has no power at all. I mean, at some points, it seems like she's just hitting you with pillows. And number two, I think that her takedown defense has been really bad for a while now. Now, statistically, she's got a 50% takedown defense, which, if you look at the other flyweights, it's not great. So I don't like her takedown defense at all. But more importantly, she's just never really impressed me. I don't know why, but she just hasn't really ever impressed me. So Viviane Araujo, she looks better to me in the cage when I watch her fight. Now, she's got far less fights than Caitlin Chukagian, but she just looks better. She throws with as much volume as Caitlin Chukagian does, and she throws with heavier hands than Caitlin Chukagian does. And I think that she also has a way more comprehensive ground game, in my opinion. She has a better chance to get the submission on the ground, in my opinion, than Caitlin Chukagian does. And I like her for that reason in the fight. A couple more reasons why I'm going to back Viviane is, number one, She's got a 92% takedown defense, okay? And, for Caitlin Chukagian, who oftentimes, if she's not able to get the better of somebody on the feet, she normally looks to take it to the ground. Well, that's a real problem when you're trying to take somebody to the ground that's got a 92% takedown defense against. And I don't see her getting the better of the exchanges on the feet to begin with. So I think it could become a real issue for her. And number two, and I said this in our subscriber Discord a couple days ago, she has a tendency to be in really close fights. And I actually pulled the quote from a message I left in the Discord. And at least one judge has given the fight to Caitlin Chukagian's opponent in 10 of her last 12 fights in the UFC, including 6 of her 8 wins. So, when you take into consideration that Chukagian is pretty much in a close fight always, and you take into consideration that I think that Viviane Araújo's got a better stand-up game. Why? Because she throws as much volume as Caitlin Chukagian does, and she's got heavier hands. And you add in the fact that whenever Chukagian has a problem on the feet, she tends to take the fight to the ground. But now she fights a girl that's got a 92% takedown defense. All those things tell me that if you're going to give me plus 120 on Viviane Araújo, I like the spot. I feel comfortable taking the shot on her. Now, if the line was flipped, would I bet Viviane Araújo at minus 145? No, I wouldn't. I would probably pass the fight, if not look to Chukagian at plus 120. But, at plus 120, do I think that Viviane Araújo's worth the shot at the plus price? I do. So give me Viviane Araújo plus 120 on the third fight of the main card. All right. Shane Burgos, Edson Barboza. I think the key to beating Edson Barboza is being inside his kicking range. That's been the case for a long time. If you let Edson Barboza pick you apart at range, he's going to do it all day, right? But if you pressure Edson Barboza and you fight him inside the phone booth, he tends to struggle with the pressure, okay? Now, if you didn't watch the Shane Burgos-Josh Emmett fight, and you've never watched a Shane Burgos fight in your entire life, Shane Burgos, and I said this on the live show an hour ago, he's got the most ridiculous chin that I've seen in MMA in a really long time. The fact that he wasn't knocked out in that fight against Josh Emmett is incredible. Now, he was knocked down once because of a left hook that he didn't see, but got right back up to his feet. And like I said, I think it's absolutely remarkable that Josh Emmett, with as hard as he hits, wasn't able to knock Shane Burgos out. Now, Shane Burgos was supposed to come back after that Josh Emmett fight after 7 months. The fight got canceled. So now it's been 11 months since his last fight against Josh Emmett. And I'll be honest, I like the added extra time off to let his brain heal at this point because of how hard he was hit. Now, I like Shane Burgos in the fight. Why? Because, number one, Edson Barboza wilts under pressure. Anytime he's on his back foot, he's usually losing a fight. Number two, Barboza has such deadly kicks that the only way to beat those kicks is to get inside the range of those kicks and fight in the pocket always and never bounce back out at range, right? So if Shane Burgos does what he normally does, I think that he wins the fight. However, I saw an interview with him on TSN, and it was a little concerning. He was talking in that interview about the fact that, that he has to realize that he's not only a pressure fighter and he can strike with opponents at range the way he won the Cub Swanson fight. And for anybody that's betting Shane Burgos, that's literally the last thing that you want to hear when it comes to this fight. He can't do that. If he does that, he's going to lose against Barboza. He has to be in the pocket, inside the range of those leg kicks, constant pressure, having Barboza back on his back foot. And that's how Edson Barboza has lost almost every fight that he's lost in the UFC. Now, my gut tells me when he's in the fire, he's going to revert back to what he knows. And what Shane Burgos knows is he's always moving forward. He's always right in the face of whatever opponent is in front of him, because those are just his instincts in a fight. So I think the interviews and the nonsense will be out the window. And when he's in the fight, he will revert to what he knows he does. So for that reason, I like Shane Burgos. Now I'm seeing minus 130 still at some books, and I think that's a fair price. Now I know Edson Barboza has these dreams that he's going to make a run at 145. He's going to eventually contend for a title. That's all nonsense. Number one, he won't make a run at 145. Number two, he will never be in a title fight for the rest of his life, considering he's a few months away from 36. So that's nonsense. So I'm going to say give me Shane Burgos minus 130 in some spots to beat Edson Barboza. All right, so the Matt Schnell fight, I don't have a lot on that fight, if I'm being honest. I think that Matt Schnell has a really underrated striking game. I think most people underrate his striking game. I think that Rogerio Bontorin has a underrated ground game. Who do I think wins that fight? I'm not really sure. I guess I'll side with Rogerio Bontorin at the plus 140 price, because I think he has the shot to wrestle fuck Matt Schnell and probably pick up rounds on the ground. Either way, I'm not going to be on the fight. It personally, for me, it's going to be a pass either way. So I don't have a lot on that fight. Now, last fight on the main card is, I think, Andrea Lee, Antonina Shevchenko. Let me check that. No. Nope. That's everything. All right, there you go. All right, so to recap, I think Michael Chandler is super live, but I gave Charles Oliveira out to subscribers around minus 125. Co-main event, Beneil Dariush all the way. Give me Shane Burgos against Edson Barboza. Give me Viviane Araujo against Caitlin Chookagian. And I guess if I had to give you a lean in the Matt Schnell Rogério Bontorin match, I guess I'll side with the dog at the plus 140 price. I think Matt Schnell should be favored in that fight. Probably not, though, as heavily as he is favored. So I'll side with the dog in a dog or pass spot, but I will be passing in that fight. One more thing, if I was going to give you guys the best parlay piece on the entire card, I think that it's either under 3.5 rounds in the Chandler Oliveira fight at minus 275 or under 4.5 rounds in the Chandler Oliveira fight at minus 350. So that's it, boys. I know I ran through it really quick. Well, I've already been on for 31 minutes. Maybe not that quick, but, you know, I try to do every fight on the main card at least for the pay-per-views. All right, so quickly, JJ and Joey will be back with MLB content on Sunday. I don't think Spread and Tyler will have an NBA video tomorrow based on our conversation earlier on the show, but I'll be live for UFC 262 Run Pure Bet subscribers tomorrow night, all night long. I'll be live on our YouTube channel to do a quick Pocono NASCAR video a couple hours before the UFC card starts tomorrow. Normally around 4:30. Not gonna have Coop though; he's got to work. But I'll hop on and still do a quick video for you guys. And then Sunday at 1:30, the Dry Dean 400 at Pocono International Speedway. Me and Coop will be live all Sunday long. And that's it, boys. I'm going to go eat my dinner, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night. If I don't see you this weekend, I hope your action runs pure. Hope you guys crush it. Aside from that, I'll see you tomorrow.